liver, right? All right, what are we looking at now? What's this a slide of? What would your answer be? Of?
Thick skin.
Obviously. See the lucidum right here? This is what I'm saying. That's a lucidum right there. What are these little these little white areas?
Sweat gland ducts.
Those are sweat gland ducts, right? So here's your stratum basale coming up around the dermal papilla. Here's a dermal papilla, right? Here's another dermal papilla. That might have a Meissner's corpuscle. I would ask you one like the other one, which was very obvious, but you're going to have either blood vessels or Meissner's corpuscles in the dermal papillae. Here's your stratum spinosum. See the purple? That's your stratum what? Where they're dying, the cells are dying. Now you're in the lucidum where the cells have died, and then now you're in the corneum. Is this stuff obvious? This will be an easy test. You should be able to get 100% on this test. That's my feeling. All right, what organ? Obviously, it's the liver. Because again, what's this right here? This is the beginning of the central vein. You see how this is converging this way, this is converging this way, these are converging this way. See how these are converging this way? These are going to be coming down this way. This is the beginning of the central vein. These are hepatocytes. Okay, that one, I think that's a binucleated cell. Again, there could be a division between them, but I would say that's possibly a binucleated cell. But you should know this is liver at the very high mag, okay? The very high mag of the liver. And again, these would probably be, since they're kind of linked together and they're right against the wall, these would be what? They're not pooched out in the lumen. See, this one's kind of pooched out in the lumen. But these would probably be endothelial cells, and that would make this the what?
Space of these.
Right. All right, this is another view of the liver. Doesn't this one just smack you in the face, say, hey, I'm the liver, right? Isn't this one pretty obvious? Would you like to see something like this on the test? Some of these you'll see on the test. Some you won't. Okay? Look how obvious the rows of hepatocytes are and the sinusoids, right? And you can see clearly there's cells, the big chunky ones out in the lumen, those are more likely Kupffer cells. The little thin ones that are right against the wall, those are the what? Endothelial cells, right? You'll say, well, why don't you see endothelial cells all over? Like this would be endothelial cells because they're right against the wall. Because again, when you're taking tissue that's like this thick and you're only slicing it right through here, you're going to miss a lot of things, okay? But there's your central vein, there's your hepatic sinusoids, all right? Pretty clear? So I could ask you, what organ is this from? What kind of tissue do the hepatocytes make up? Does anybody remember me telling you about that one? It's kind of a unique type of tissue. Remember, the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder are all outgrowths of the endoderm. So they're all epithelial derivatives, so they're all epithelial tissues. This is what's called an anastomosing cord epithelium. Anastomosing, which means joining together, actually means to open up a mouth, but the joining together. Whenever you have blood vessels that join together and form connections, they call it anastomosis. But this is an anastomosing cord epithelium because these are just like cords of hepatocyte or rows of hepatocytes that go back and forth, okay? I think at this stage you should be able to know that. All right, what's this? From the urinary passageways. What is it? The ureter. Okay, so if I put this up there, you say, what's this a slide of? You'd say the ureter. And what kind of epithelium lines the lumen? It would be transitional. Even though it's low mag, if you know anything about the ureter
and the bladder are both lined with transitional epithelium. Okay, what organ? What organ? Huh?
Is this a pancreas?
I heard a kidney and I heard a pancreas. So which one are you going with?
Pancreas.
It's the pancreas.
These are the islets of Langerhans, okay? Right? This is the acinar tissue. If it was kidney, you'd see a lot more openings, okay? This is one of those histological lookalikes. I showed you this at the beginning of the course. This is a pancreas, and then the islets of Langerhans represent the endocrine portion. The acinar tissue represents the exocrine portion, okay? So, and then in the islets, you're going to find alpha, beta, delta, and PP cells, right? All right. So you should know islets. You should know acinar tissue. You should know pancreas. You should know which one's endocrine, which one's exocrine. So the islets secrete hormones, so they're endocrine. The acinar tissue secretes in the duct, so they're exocrine. This is a higher mag, different stain, but the same thing. This is an islet right here with the different types of cells. There would be beta cells, delta cells, alpha cells mixed in amongst here. There's also lots of capillaries. See all these spaces? These are blood vessels because it's heavily vascularized, okay? Because it has to secrete. The funny thing is you can't see it here, but when I was at East Carolina doing research on the islets, I read papers where they did studies on the microvasculature of the islet, and they actually filled the blood vessels with a certain material and then digested everything away, and you could see nothing but the blood vessels, and it was pretty complex, believe me. These are the acini out here. This is the acinar tissue. Again, some of the acinar tissues, like see how it forms a little ring right here? And if you see a ring of acinar tissue and you see something sitting in the middle of it, what would that be? What's the thing that sits in the middle of the acinar tissue? Well, what's a word for middle? That's what's known as a centroacinar cell. A centroacinar cell is one of the diagnostic features of comparing the pancreas to the salivary glands. The salivary glands aren't going to have centroacinar cells, and centroacinar cells are actually duct cells. Please spell duct with a T, not a K. Now we're looking at what? You see the obvious difference between the kidney and the pancreas? Notice how you have the different tubules here, here, here. Now, see this tubule right there? See how thin the epithelium is? See the nuclei are right against the surface? This is a distal convoluted tubule, whereas this is a what? See how thick it is? See how here's the nucleus? Look at all this cytoplasm that's, in between the nucleus and the lumen, right? So the ones that are really thick and eosinophilic are your proximal convoluted tubules. The ones that are thin and less eosinophilic are your distal convoluted tubules. I could ask you this question as easy as what organ is this from? Or what organ is this from? And you have to write kidney. Now how hard would that be? And if you miss that one, I'll reserve comment. What's this one probably?
Distal.
Distal, right? What's this one down here? Proximal. You getting the idea, right? This is probably another glomerulus with a bone. It looks like there's a simple squamous epithelium lining the edge here. But here, if you look around the edge, this is your, what would you call this right along the edge, this whole thing? This is the parietal layer of Bowman's capsule. What kind of tissue is it?
Simple squamous.
Simple squamous. Okay, what's this whole thing called in here? The glomerulus, which is actually a tuft of capillaries covered by podocytes. The ones that see the big rounded nucleus, that's probably a podocyte. If you found any that are really flat, I'm trying to find one. Possibly this one here. The little thin flat ones would probably be the capillary endothelial cells, where the big fat round ones would probably be the podocytes. Okay? So if asked to differentiate the difference between a podocyte and an endothelial cell, if I ask it on the test, I'll probably try to be as obvious as possible.
But what kind of blood vessels do you find in the glomerulus? What kind of blood vessels are they?
Capillaries.
What kind of capillaries? They're fenestrated capillaries. Remember, you have continuous capillaries, you have fenestrated capillaries, and you have discontinuous or sinusoidal capillaries. Sound familiar? I think that was on the quiz, wasn't it? Did anybody get that one? Okay. Okay, here's a duct. Now this is a duct from the pancreas. Again, we're back to the pancreas, but what I want to show you is, look how obvious the round nuclei are. See how round they are? This is the basement membrane or basal lamina. See it coming along here? Here's the lumen, so this is your luminal surface, right? But this is some kind of a duct in the pancreas. This is acinar tissue right out here, okay? All right, what are we looking at? Ovary. This is the ovum right here. Okay. Now we haven't covered this much in lecture, or if we have, I need to come back on Thursday and finish a little bit. But this is the ovum right here. This dark line is representing the what we call zona pellucida. Sometimes it's much thicker, sometimes it's clear. Again, it depends on the tissue, depends on the stain, all kinds of things. And then see the cells that go around the outside from here to here? That forms what's called the corona radiata. Corona means ring around the outside, and radiata because the cells kind of radiate out. And then this has a name too. See this little area right here underneath the ovum, but between the edge of the follicle? This is called the cumulus oophorus. Again, you'll have time between now and Thursday to look that up. It's called the cumulus, C-U-M-U-L-U-S, oophorus, O-O-P-H-O-R-U-S, oophorus. Cumulus oophorus. This is a high mag of the ovum. Now, you'll say, that looks like the lens of the eye. But we're not doing eyes, right? But anyway, that's the ovum. Then here's the zona pellucida right here. See, from about here to here. You don't see any cells in here, do you? And then once you get out here, this is the what? Corona radiata. Now, if I go back to this slide, what's this space called right here? That's the antral cavity or antrum. And what's it filled with? Liquor folliculi. It's the follicular fluid, liquor folliculi, or antral fluid. You can get by saying antral fluid. Okay?
And what's it called again? The antral
Cavity.
Cavity.
Or antrum. Right. Okay. I'll be impressed if anybody knows what this is. What's this? What organ is this from? What do you think? This is the liver.
Oh yeah, it's a
This-
really low pack.
This, and this. See that little thing? That's a biocanalicculus. This is a high mag of hepatocytes. And what you're seeing there, these are the little channels. See that? Like right there? In between. Here's hepatocyte, here's hepatocyte. All these little channels. There. Those are biocanaliculi. Those are the little tiny channels that carry the bile in between the hepatocytes. Again, take a look at this. Make a mental image of it. This is another high mag of the liver where you see a biocanalicculus, or 2 or 3, right? See right there? Biocanalicculus. Right here. Go back and look in your book at the pictures, and you can see these biocanaliculi, right? And they're going to be ringed with tight junctions because you don't want bile leaking into the tissue. Okay, what's this a slide of? What's this a slide of? Huh?
Is it the ovarian cortex?
No, this is pigmented skin. This is your stratum basale down here. This is your stratum spinosum. See the little spines between the cells? Okay? This is your dermis down here. Right? This is melanin granules in the stratum basale. Okay? Look right here. Remember the nodes of Bizzozero right there? Okay? That's what
part of this is forming. See how I got the little tiny connections? These